Hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to episode 60 of This Week in Karting. It is March 1st, 2023. I cannot believe we are already into the third month of this year. It's been a quick 2 months of the season and of the year. I am David Cole, joined by Nate Dean as we bring you episode 60 of This Week in Karting. Already said that. All the major news that hit the EKN homepage over the past weeks. Most recently, the last 8 days, we recorded our last episode, which was episode 59 on February 20th, 2023. So we're going to get one more episode in before we're going to be trackside for a couple of weeks. So probably towards the end of March is when we'll get to our next This Week in Karting, because right now it's all going to be all about race coverage and being trackside over the next couple of weeks. So this episode is brought to you by RaceLab. The new face of competitive karting in the Pacific Northwest region is RaceLab. The full-service karting operation is located at the state-of-the-art Kartplex facility in Oliver, British Columbia, Canada, providing everything you need to hit the track or put yourself in a successful driver development program. RaceLab is the official North American distributor for the TB Kart chassis brand, providing the full range of models from kid kart to shifter kart. Villeneuve Racing Karts is their flagship product, available only through RaceLab. The brand carries the name of Formula One champion and Indianapolis 500 winner Jacques Villeneuve, with each model produced by TB Kart. Follow RaceLab on social media on Facebook and Instagram, or load up their website at theracelab.ca to learn more about TB Kart and Villeneuve Racing Karts. So again, Nate, our last episode was February 20th, 2023. February is gone and done. My birthday month is over. I claim it's my birthday month, but really I only celebrate my birthday. At least my wife will only let me do that. But it's been a quick 2 months of 2023, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been quick for not a ton of action. Karting season starting to finally get underway. Already have one championship done with the SCUSA Winter Series. Florida Winter Tour has one round left. Challenge of the Americas is underway, and we're starting to close in on the regular season, we'll call it, of the big championships. USPKS starting soon. Same with SCUSA Pro Tour, so it'll be getting a bit quicker once those ramp up too. But quick off season for us.
And ramping up is something that the Cup Karts North America program is certainly doing, as they're about to head into this weekend for what will be a record event at the Spring Nationals held at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. But most notably is the recent rule change, or supplemental rule that they just created. It is called the camshaft intake lobe centerline. So for all you technical guys, you probably know more about it than I do. But really what this boils down to is there's been a lot of rumors and obviously keyboard warriors going on, talking about how people are going in and adjusting the camshaft without breaking the seal on what is a sealed bottom end 206 Briggs engine package. So that's kind of been a focal point for Briggs and Stratton 206 racers over the last couple of months, is talking about how people are adjusting the camshaft and that rules need to be implemented to stop this. For me, I'm still waiting on proof and shown how this is being done, and that's still something that hasn't been done or shown to me myself personally. But Cup Karts North America is taking the bull by the horns. They've looked at a lot of data, talked to a number of engine people throughout the industry, and they've now adjusted to essentially the rule a little bit, at least for Cup Karts North America. So kind of narrowing the gap in terms of the centerline issue that everybody's talking about. So, Nate, I don't know how much you followed this online, but it's certainly been, there's a lot of people that just love to just stir the pot. And there's been a lot of that online. And so now hopefully, Cup Karts, this will hopefully lead, their rule change will hopefully lead to eliminating the pot stirring.
Yeah, and I mean, whenever you have a sealed engine that only makes about 8 horsepower, of course, you're going to have people that are trying to find performance in any way possible. Again, a lot of it is just speculation of whether people have been doing it or not. There's been a lot of online talk about what's the point of this, all these other things, but at the end of the day, it's just another measure to make sure that people aren't going into their engines and doing something you shouldn't be with it. I know my mom is quite close with the CKNA tech staff, so we talked about it a bit in the past couple of days. Basically, them saying going into Charlotte, um, of course, it's short notice for this, but them also saying at the end of that statement, for those of you who haven't touched it, this won't be an issue. And them also adding that going into this race, that it's a very wide range. It's wider range than they want for what's legal or not. And throughout the season, they want to make that range smaller and smaller and smaller to try and alleviate anyone who might be doing this. But again, I think it's just a good measure, and it's something to keep the racing fair, keep the racing low cost. Because once we saw this with World Formula, I think when you start to get into this engine rebuild stuff and messing with the engine, the prices go up, and it really goes away from the cheap racing that 206 aims to deliver.
Well, let's put it out there. I mean, we've always promoted the fact that you can take this engine out of the box, put it on the cart, and be fast, and that still can happen. But obviously we're now into year 11 of the 206 program. Engine builders have now had the opportunity to develop techniques and certain ways of servicing engines in order to make them either be quicker for a weekend or, this and that. Obviously there's a lot of different innovative ways of doing things in terms of engine building. And so it's, I mean, we're at the point. You look at NASCAR, you look at IndyCar, everybody tries to stretch out the rules as much as they can. And then I think that's, karting is no different. And especially in spec package engines, and especially in a category, as you said, with such a low horsepower engine platform, people are trying to find whatever they can to make it a little bit better, to help make up for the terrible driving that most people have. So again, that's one thing we always talk about with the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. Invest in yourself. Don't invest in cheater motors. That's always been kind of the thing. That's where you find that extra tenth or two on the racetrack. So, so I get that. And Briggs has always kind of kept things a little bit, as you said, wider to help for, any manufacturing issues that may arise or something like that. It's good that now, again, we're now into a second decade of this engine platform. We can start to narrow, as you said, the gap in terms of specs on the engine and teching these engines as well too. So it's good that Cup Karts is stepping up to do that. Again, we were asked multiple times about it, and it's, until the organizations do anything, I mean, there's nothing for us as a media outlet to do. It's up to the organizations to oversee, to police those who are either following the guidelines or not following the guidelines. So good to see that. But again, March 3rd through the 5th, Charlotte Motor Speedway will be the CKNA Spring Nationals this weekend. Got some cool numbers by Race Select, by the numbers from them. They're the registration platform for Cup Karts North America. 360 entries for this weekend thus far. I'm sure they're going to probably get some walk-up entries as well. And only 51 drivers running multiple classes. So there's a lot of drivers that are going to be down in the Charlotte region. 32 different states represented, along with 2 Canadian provinces. And right now, Canada has the most entries at over 50 entries overall, and Florida at 39. So nearly a third of the entries come from Florida or Canada. That's just great numbers going into the weekend, Nate.
Yeah, for sure. And after Florida getting hit hard with a hurricane last year for Grand Nats or around that time, a lot of people missing that. So good to see the Florida numbers back up. Same goes for Canada. I know it's 2023 now, but still COVID is still kind of that a looming topic, especially with the Canadian border and all the things that have happened with that in the past couple of years. That finally being opened a lot more than it was the past few years. Canada and Canadian racers coming down and participating in our events. I think there's going to be a lot more of us going up there too for CKNA's Canada series. They'll be going into its second season this year. So a good amount of cross and people traveling for races, people just wanting to get back in the kart and get competitive again.
Yeah, really, this is the first big Briggs race since Daytona. CKNA had the Jacksonville event, but it didn't quite pull in the numbers they were hoping, especially compared to the Spring Nationals. So again, Charlotte a little bit closer to Canada, not all the way down to Jacksonville. Again, it's March. It's the season is just around the corner for Canada when April hits. So it's a great way to kind of get the season started off. And again, great to see the big numbers coming from north of the border. The next topic is the Route 66 Sprint Series confirms the 2023 classes and format. Nate, break us. You have a lot more insight probably in this than I do. So kind of just give us a rundown of some of the announcements that's been made on social media from the Route 66 program.
Yeah, so in terms of classes, not a ton has changed, keeping the 3KA categories for junior, senior, masters in 206, sportsman, junior, senior, micro and mini Swift stay. Kid kart, a bit of a change there. You could run 4 different engine packages last season, even though class wasn't really run. This season, it's 206 junior motor only for that class. So we're going to hopefully see a bit more kid karts in this series. That's going to be something Route 66 is promoting a lot more, along with the 4-cycle package. New event structure that everyone seems to be talking about, whether it be good or bad. Chris Kardashian going on the Car Chaser podcast last night, and there just seemed to be a lot of positivity for all these changes and the format. No Thursday practice of any kind when you get there, run by series or track. Again, this is just to cut down the weekend for those drivers and teams not wanting to dedicate a full week to this for a regional series. Friday, you have 3 rounds of practice. Saturday, again, you'll also have 3 rounds of practice. Then we'll go into qualifying. There'll be all karts for 3 laps. New for karting, I think, is what they're going to be calling the shootout. Top 5 from qualifying get put into a 1-lap shootout, and that will determine 1st through 5th on the grid. Then you get into Heat 1, which will be Saturday. Moving to Sunday, you have your warm-up, Heat 2, and then the final.
Yeah, it's exciting format. Again, we, myself and Rob, we've always been fans of the one final format. I know that's kind of, people are kind of 50-50 on it. Some people like the idea putting all your eggs into one basket, but others like the warm, fuzzy feeling of having that second final later in the weekend. But really, I think the focus there, like you were talking about, is the limit of practice. I think for a regional program, you don't have to be at the racetrack for 5 straight days. I mean, it's insane to think about that. Now, I understand national events, it's a big race. You want to get as much track time in as possible. But for regional racing, again, this is an opportunity for you to travel to a different racetrack, get accustomed to it, have a good time, and learn. I mean, that's what regional racing is really about. It's not about sitting there for 5 days making gobs of laps and it just blowing your budget right out of the water. So I love that. Again, plenty of race time. You get 2 heat races and a main event. The longer laps are going to be great. It gets drivers to be more, help them on the endurance side of things, I think, a little bit more. But really, I think the focus is the limit of the practice at the racetrack. So again, great to see. Chris Kardashian, as you said, just getting his feet wet in terms of being a race promoter and getting this series getting going. And the opening weekend is, I believe, in May, correct? I forgot to write that down.
It'll be May 19th through the 21st at Newcastle.
Yep. So that'd be a good weekend to go race a K Master, I think. That'd be fun. So, yeah. And you'll be announcing as well, too. Give a little insight on that.
Yeah, myself and Carter Pease, who we ran together for a couple years under Chris Kardashian's tent. So that's how we met. Will be co-announcing for 3 of the 4 rounds. I think he has prior commitments with racing for the second round at Road America, so it'll just be me. So my voice should sound nice and raspy on Sunday, but it should be a lot of fun. Carter has had a lot of experience with him going into newscasting, and that's kind of his strong suit. He's done some commentary at
Rock Island. Done Rock Island Grand Prix. Yep. Come on,
so he's done that. There. Yeah, he's done that. I do a lot of stuff at my local track, so it'll be a new challenge for the both of us. A lot of new drivers, some new tracks, but I think he'll enjoy being able to see the entire track apart from Rock Island. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Rock Island's obviously a challenge to announce there. You're kind of working off when they go by you, and then looking at the scoring monitor till they come back around to the start finish line. So excited to see that program kick off in May, and with that, we'll head into our first commercial break, and we'll get into our second segment of news, topics, and items covered here on This Week in Karting.
If you're a karter in the Lone Star State, make the jump from the club level and race against the best in the country at the Texas Sprint Racing Series. The premier regional kart racing series in Texas will be a 5-race program in 2023, featuring 4 different tracks located all over the state. This year's Texas Sprint Racing Series kicks off the season at the popular Speed Sports Racing Park in New Caney, Texas on March 24th to 26th. Racing Under the Lights returns in 2023, with the North Texas Kartways in Denton welcoming the series for night racing over the Memorial Day weekend on May 26 to 28. The third round of the TSRS travels to the Panhandle and the newly renamed Amarillo Kart Complex on the June 30, July 2nd weekend. A track new to the series hosts round 4, as Rimrock Raceway in Odessa is set to make history on August 4, 5, and 6. The series championships will be decided on the September 15th to 17th weekend, as the 5th and final round brings competitors back to the challenging Speed Sports facility in Houston. Details on the rules and class structure for the official SuperKarts USA and International Kart Federation Series can be found at TexasSprintSeries.com.
Are you ready to go from karts to cars? Since 1975, the Skip Barber Racing School has taken great drivers and made them champions. Today, we're proud to welcome the next generation of winners. Make the transition from karts to cars with the Skip Barber Formula Race Series. You'll compete at the most iconic tracks in America. Race weekends include your very own equalized Formula 4 race car, a professional crew, expert instruction, video and data analysis, hospitality, and more. This is the place to fulfill your dream of becoming a champion. Sign up today by calling 866-932-1949 or visit us at skipbarber.com.
The 25th edition of the Rock Cup USA Florida Winter Tour continues this month, with round 2 of the program heating up South Florida over the February 17th to 19th weekend. The series makes its debut visit at the new PK Entertainment and Race Park in Loxahatchee, Florida, which is located just outside West Palm Beach. Compete in any of the 10 categories featuring the Vortex engine line, from micro and mini rock to the VLR 100cc classes and the high-speed rock shifter divisions. The series is set to wrap up on the March 17th to 19th weekend, with the final rounds contested at the Orlando Kart Center. Each of the 10 class championships will be decided with the final round of action in Orlando, Florida. Be sure to mark down the Rock Vegas event, set for the Rio All-Suite Hotel and Casino, scheduled for October 25th to the 29th in Las Vegas, Nevada. Visit RockCupUSA.com for all the details and information surrounding the Florida Winter Tour, Rock Vegas events, and more.
Welcome back to episode 60 of This Week in Karting. It is March 1st, 2023. I'm David Cole, joined by Nate Dean, as we cover the major news items and topics that have hit the homepage or social media over the last 8 days, basically, since our last show on February 20th, 2023. We'll get into 3 topics now to kind of close out this second segment. The first of those is the Rock Cup USA just announced yesterday a partnership with the SimCraft Corporation. They will be the official sim company of the Rock Cup Promotions program, and they are providing a free entry to the Rock Vegas event in 2023 with a purchase of a simulator from SimCraft. And then there'll be Rock Cup USA discounts available as well to purchase any of the SimCraft simulators that are available. So, Nate, great to see a company not necessarily outside of racing, obviously, but in a way it is, because it's not related to karting whatsoever. This is the SimCraft's an amazing company. They work with a lot of professional drivers, and it's a great way for not only to have fun with all the racing sims that are out there, but also to hone your craft behind the wheel as well.
No, for sure. And SimCraft have been around their game since the 90s, and they're obviously a huge name in the world of sim racing. It's cool to see them come on board. It's an interesting promotion between Rock and SimCraft for obviously the free entry with the purchase of a simulator. But yeah, like you said, it's a great way to hone your craft. Obviously, karting in simulators hasn't quite got to the level that cars are yet, but even still, going on to iRacing and doing like the skip barbers and the low power stuff, you're going to learn a ton about momentum racing and just your race craft more than you will driving. And I think myself and others who have them have learned a lot in those series about just racecraft and what to do in that wheel-to-wheel combat.
Yeah, I got to sample the SimCraft simulator at the Super Nationals in November, and it was only my second time in a simulator like that, motion simulator. It's really unique. I wish I had more room in my office to put one in. I actually, my third time. So it was my second time in a SimCraft. I used one, a friend of mine that lives near here, Mark Miller, got to drive in his. So it's unique. It's certainly a change going from your desk, steering wheel to something that's moving, and just the way, the entire pedals feel and how everything else feels in actual SimCraft. So it's fun to do that. I would love to see, iRacing get behind karting. Hopefully that'll be something in the future that we'll see. There's been obviously a lot of different online gaming for karting over the years. I know R Factor, you talked about slow horsepower things. I used to do the Clio, and now that's coming back into iRacing. So I saw that. That's fun to do. But R Factor, we used to have a karting sim, probably 2007. I think my son was born around that year. So I would let him take a nap, and I'd go do some kart sim racing. It'd be fun. We had a lot of good times with that. So hopefully in the near future, we'll start seeing it become more and more popular in terms of iRacing or other platforms. So with that, we'll move into our next topic. The United States Pro Kart Series Mini Swift category has sold out for the Orlando Kart Center, the Southern Grand Prix. All 46 entry spots taken and sold by February 22. So excited to see that category sell out. We knew it was going to be one of the bigger categories on the weekend, Nate. And now they're at over 250 entries as of today, heading into the final stretch of pre-entry for the Southern Grand Prix.
Yeah, obviously a lot of people interested in that mini Swift class selling out on February 22nd. So a fair bit of time before they even got to the track. So good to see people are obviously interested in USPKS. It's had quite the couple of years after the COVID pandemic of a lot of traction for this series, with it really becoming one of the big mainstays in pro karting here in the US, with those events being added to the pro calendar, as we call it. But yeah, obviously a lot of people wanting to make that trek down to Orlando into warmer weather and not put off by the long journey that may cause. So good to see for karting, good to see for USPKS.
Yeah, right now the KA junior and senior categories are both above the 46 line. So we'll for sure see last chance qualifiers in those two categories. Those were the two categories that they announced that were going to be open. And so they've surpassed that 46 number. Pro Shifter, the first year of this category at the United States Pro Kart Series, right now has 12 entries, 3 of them being former national champions, including AJ Myers, Danny Formal, and Marion Kremers, the more recent SuperKarts USA Pro Tour champion. So that field is stacked with talent, including a few Masters drivers in there as well. So a good range of talent that's going to be in that debut category when we head to the Orlando Kart Center on March 10th through the 12th. Again, I'll be trackside the entire weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, bringing you coverage throughout the weekend, and we'll have more insight into the debut of the Pro Shifter category, and of course all the other news and notes that happen throughout the weekend in Orlando. And again, the format change again too, very similar to what we see at the Route 66 program. The format is going to be one final format for the United States Pro Kart Series, with the main events now only on Sunday. We're going to have 3 rounds of heat races going on Saturday, and then the main events on Sunday after warm-ups and the LCQs. So a little bit of changes. Again, ownership changing. Route 66, they've decided to change the format, and now with the United States Pro Kart Series extending to 5 race weekends, the format, one final format happening there. So good, excited to see how that all plays out, and see again, bring our 11th year of coverage for the United States Pro Kart Series. Very excited about that. Next, in our final topic, is the California Pro Kart Challenge kicks off at Buttonwillow. So that program will kick off March 11th through the 12th at Buttonwillow Raceway Park, heading in the counterclockwise direction. Buttonwillow Raceway Park, a very familiar racetrack for the California Pro Kart Challenge. They'll offer a full slate of Pro Tour classes, along with now an open shifter divisions for both senior and master drivers. So non-KZ category, or non-KZ and non-SSE engine platforms allowed to compete at the California Pro Kart Challenge now in these open divisions. So it'll be interesting to see how competitors show up for that. Pre-registration closes on Tuesday, March 7th. And then following that event on March 11th through the 12th at Buttonwillow, SuperKarts USA will focus then on the debut of the 2023 SuperKarts USA Pro Tour, with the Winter Nationals happening on March 31st through the April 2nd weekend at the Orlando Kart Center. So, Nate, you're going to be there trackside with Mr. Rob Howden, who will be providing the play-by-play call all weekend long. So you'll have your chance. I've been to Orlando last year, and then now you'll have your chance to head there after going to Homestead for the opening 2 rounds of the SCUSA Winter Series. Anything that kind of stands out? I know we're a month away before we get to the Winter Nationals, but anything that that kind of is sitting there and you're anticipating heading to Orlando for that?
I mean, I wasn't all that excited to go to NOLA just because I've seen pictures there and they didn't really look too good. But Orlando has at least some fun things you can work with in the background. So on that standpoint, I'm looking forward to. But I think after seeing the conclusion of the 2022 season and what we saw at AMR, and how the pro classes, we'll call them X30 and KA, are shaping up, how you got some new faces up there, new challengers, people who have been in the kind of the quote mid pack, who have fought their way back up, like Donovan Belia, who has got his maiden senior victory. He might be a challenger for this. Maybe you can't really say who's going to be challengers for the title at this point, but will be one of those karts that's up there. And just, it's the start of watching how the season progresses, really, and just really looking forward to that.
Well, certainly the United States Pro Kart Series weekend will kind of be a precursor to the Winter Nationals. And if it's anything like last year, Ryan Norberg's going to control everything at his home track. So that's going to be the thing to watch in in X30 Senior. For Pro Shifter, obviously it's the Myers versus Kremers battle that will continue to rage on, has been going on for a year and 2 months now. And then who else is going to step up? That's, Kremers really was a dominant force last year in the Pro Shifter category. So, the USPKS weekend will kind of give us an idea of who's going to be able to step up. Is Formal going to be running the Pro Tour as well? A lot of things kind of not yet defined yet for the SCUSA Winter Nationals. So again, we'll have to wait and see for that. But just shifters at Orlando, that's going to be an exciting thing to see, because I thought, as the tight confines that the Orlando Kart Center really is, it's for watching the X30 shifter karts there is just going to be wild and crazy. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that at USPKS, and then following your and Rob's coverage of the Winter Nationals at the first weekend of April. And with that, we'll head into our final commercial break, and we'll have a little bit more about what hit the EKN homepage in terms of editorial podcasts and, of course, the EKN radio network after these commercials.
If you want to challenge yourself against the best drivers in the sport, put the United States Pro Kart Series on your calendar. Established in 2013, the USPKS is entering its 11th season following record participation numbers. The 2023 season, presented by MG Tires and IAME USA East, is slated to hit 5 major tracks over 5 weekends to decide the champions in the now 8 categories. The season opens at the Orlando Kart Center on March 10th through the 12th, with the USPKS program visiting the Orlando, Florida facility for the second straight year. 2 new facilities will welcome USPKS for the first time in 2023. Round 2 takes place at the crown jewel of Texas karting, Speed Sports Racing Park, on April 28th through the 30th. The track is located just north of Houston. The other new location is the repaved and extended Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati in Batavia, Ohio, and the date is set for the August 25th through the 27th weekend. Newcastle Motorsports Park sits between those 2 new tracks on the schedule, hosting Round 3 on June 23rd through the 25th. The USPKS 2023 finale is confirmed for the unofficial series home at the GoPro Motorplex in Mooresville, North Carolina on October 5th through the 7th weekend. The event will include the series year-end awards ceremony on October 8th. There's a reason the series is logging record numbers. Come find out for yourself. Head to uspks.com for more information. Move up to karting. Move up to the USPKS.
It's a multi-time world champion, and it's a SuperKarts USA Super Nationals winner. It is Sodi Kart. And starting in 2023, the Sodi brand has found a new home here in the US. Sodi Racing USA is the new exclusive importer of the Sodi Kart chassis line under the karting distribution banner, led by industry veteran Terry Germanovich. The French manufacturer Sodi Kart is a leader within the karting industry, offering a wide range of products and services. The Sodi Racing chassis line offers product in classes from Mini to KZ, all based on years of development and championship seasons around the world. Sodi Racing USA has already begun establishing its dealer network, working with the Karting Collective on the West Coast, and recently signing PK Sport to serve as a dealer and the official race team on the East Coast. Visit Sodi-Racing-USA.com to learn more about the Sodi Kart chassis line, or call 954-634-5111 to become part of the Sodi Racing USA network today. Sodi Kart, the world leader in the karting industry. Attention all club and regional racers along the West Coast. Add the new Northern California Sprint Kart Series to your schedule. The International Kart Federation sanctioned regional series is set for 5 events that will be run throughout 2023. The series kicks off at the Prairie City Kart Track in Rancho Cordova, California on April 21 to 23 before traveling south to Button Willow Raceway Park for Memorial Day weekend, May 26 to 28. The Southern Oregon Karters Association in Medford will be home to the halfway point of the series over the June 23rd to 25th weekend. The program moves back to California for July 14th to 16th, visiting the Santa Maria Karting Association. The fifth and final round takes competitors to Corning, California on September 15th to 17th for a temporary circuit to decide the inaugural series champions. The class structure for the Northern California Sprint Kart Series provides classes for the Briggs & Stratton and IAME KA100 engine platforms, along with an open shifter category to round out the 8 divisions set to compete this summer. Make sure to bookmark NorCalSKS.com for series information and details, and find and follow them on social media. Be part of something new and exciting. Be part of the Northern California Sprint Kart Series.
Welcome back to the final segment of This Week in Karting, episode 60, March 1st, 2023. I'm David Cole, joined by Nate Dean, and we wrap up with a look of what's been going on EKN in terms of editorial. And right now we'll get into 5 different articles that we've had over the past 8 days, essentially. Speed Sports Racing Park, the crown jewel of Texas karting. Rob Howden was able to pen a piece on the New Caney, Texas facility that will be hosting a number of events this year, including the United States Pro Kart Series in April, and of course the Texas Sprint Racing Series twice in the 2023 season, along with a wide variety of different events coming through that facility. It'll be my first time going there, Nate. Looking from the outside in, what kind of catches your eye about the Speed Sports facility itself?
I mean, watching some footage from previous races last year, it seems like it has a good flow to it. It seems like it has some good racing and passing opportunities. So I think that'll be fun to watch. Obviously, they're kind of new to the national scene. A lot more series are considering having that name in the talks when they talk about like their first round. So obviously USPKS going there for, I believe, their first time, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to say like it's Speed Sports are going to have to prove that their place on the calendar, because I think they are, and it's such a great track and run by Alan Rudolph and all those guys, and they do a fantastic job over there. So I don't think they're going to have to do any convincing after the first weekend, because I think it'll be a driver favorite after that. But yeah, we will have to see. Obviously, some good racing will come out of that weekend, so really just looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be it'll be cool to get down there, and I just love the fact that there's a rental kart track and a competition track all at the same facility. I think that's going to be the future in terms of karting facilities moving ahead. Next is the Begin Again column series by R.K. Seiler, as he penned the "Monkey is off my back," getting that first podium in, I think he said, over 30 years back into the sport of karting. So it's great to get that successful article from R.K. Seiler about getting back on the podium at his home track at the North Texas Kartways facility in Denton, Texas. Driver Diary is also back on the EKN homepage with Preston Lambert providing his viewpoint of the racing in Europe this 2023 season. He already gave us a testing column. Now he gave us the WSK Supermaster Series South Garda karting event and gave us some insight into his first race in the OK category and first race with the WSK program as well, too. So good to read that. We also have our director's notes, a new column by Blake Hunt, as he gave kind of an outlook on the United States Pro Kart Series season. Again, Blake Hunt, the race director for the United States Pro Kart Series. So kind of a different viewpoint in terms of looking at the karting world. We don't get a lot of race directors that provide more insight or even write anything for us. So this was kind of good to see. And maybe we'll get some more race directors involved with this director's notes program as we move along with the 2023 season. Did anything kind of stand out in his article for you?
I mean, the one thing I liked is the picture we used for the graphics on social media. 'Cause out of context, it looks like it's the throw-in tire, but I I think it's cool that Blake is being candid with us, and I think race directors obviously don't talk a lot about their their job, it seems, to everyone else, or like provide that insight. So it's nice to see that from his perspective, especially with in relative terms how young he is for doing the job that he's at, with it, him being fairly new, especially with the USPKS race director job. So it's good to see his take and his insights from that side of the curtain.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, because a lot of times directors start locally and then move their way up. I think Blake basically just jumped into the deep end of the pool and went right into the USPKS program. I think he's done stuff with the GoPro Motorplex club there a little bit, but it was certainly a big jump. And plus, he's still racing too. That's the unique thing about it. We have a few race directors that still do race, but it's good to get the young. We need more youth involved in that side of the sport. We have promoters, we have some younger promoters that are coming in. Now we're getting some younger race directors. I think really the niche now is younger tech directors, because they're all getting pretty old. And then with that, our last article to review is the ECAN 101 with Bobby Krug of the Skip Barber Racing School. So he has a unique story in the fact that he's a racer, but he's also involved in the marketing side of the sport. Got his start in karting and did the Karts to Cars program with Skip Barber, both behind the wheel, but also in the media side of things. He started with Margay Racing and then now is the managing or marketing manager at Skip Barber Racing School. So a very cool viewpoint of that. So kind of similar to what we do, Nate. We both love racing, but we're both in the media side of things. But it's a little bit different, when you get to the Skip Barber level, for sure.
Yeah, and I think with the press releases and media that we've been working with, we've seen his work firsthand with that, and with him racing, it's kind of cool to see him working on all of those areas, and for him to do a little piece for us and us talking with him. It was nice to read that. Again, same as Blake, just get his viewpoint on his side of things on between racing and working media.
In terms of podcasts, again, download our ECAN podcasts anywhere you get yours. iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, and other podcast outlets. Make sure you subscribe and give us a review. This Week in Karting, episode 59 from February 20th is available for downloading, along with the face-to-face episode 64. That was the Challenge of the Americas OK and Roundtable. Again, providing some insight into the debut of this new global category that the FIA has instituted. So good to hear feedback from Alex Keys, a driver and kart shop owner, along with Challenge of the Americas promoter Andy Seisman, engine builder Jesus Vasquez from P1 Engines, and of course Seth Nash from Nash Motorsports, one of the top race teams in the United States. So good to kind of get a different feedback and viewpoint from all four of them in that face-to-face. And again, we'll see all of them this weekend at the Challenge in Americas event coming up. On the ECAN Radio Network is, of course, this episode of This Week in Karting, and we'll continue to play our rewinds looking at the United States Pro Kart Series, Challenge in the Americas, SCUSA Pro Tour, and more on the ECAN Radio Network, the only 24 hours, 7 days a week channel dedicated to the sport of karting. What's coming up on EKN? Again, Trackside Live, March 3rd through the 5th, Challenge of the Americas, Phoenix Kart Racing Association in Glendale, Arizona. I will be there this weekend. I will have Mike Smith, formerly of the Cal Speed Karting facility, now with K1 Circuit. He'll be handling the play-by-play duties as Rob Howden is trackside in St. Petersburg for the IndyCar weekend and, of course, the USF Pro Championship opening weekend for that program. Nate, you will be trackside at the Cup Karts North America Spring Nationals in Charlotte Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina, having some fun with some friends, but also providing just a little bit of coverage for us on EKN to kind of set the stage for what's going on there in Charlotte.
Yeah, and obviously the first really big race for Cup Karts, like we said, so it should be fun to see the faces that are familiar and see the up and coming talent for the four cycle side of things. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see how that racing plays out. Big fields in nearly every category, so I'm sure there will be a lot of chit chat and a lot of stuff on social media regarding that weekend. And then the following weekend, next weekend, I will be trackside for the opener of the United States Pro Kart Series, set for March 10 through the 12th at the Orlando Kart Center in Orlando, Florida. The second time that the series has visited the facility. Last year we had over 300 entries, right now at just over 260. So hopefully we'll get to that 300 mark once again. I'm excited to see how, if that does happen. And again, excited about starting off the 11th season for that program at the Orlando Kart Center. So with that, we are done with our This Week in Karting. Again, follow us on social media. We'll have complete coverage over the next 2 weekends of 3 different racing events, along with a little bit of the USF Pro Championships from Rob Howden. Make sure you follow him on the Insider. You can find him on social media. He'll be providing a little bit here and there throughout the weekend. They just wrapped up the series testing at Sebring over the last 2 days. Now everybody's heading over to St. Pete to get set up for what will be an exciting opener for the 2023 season. So again, make sure you follow EKN on social media. And thank you for turning in to This Week in Karting, episode 60 on March 1st, 2023. For Nate Dean, I am David Cole. Thank you for listening.